The Vietnam War, regardless of political views, was a conflict in which brave men sacrificed greatly for America. Their stories deserve to be shared as not to be lost in history. The Vietnam War was the first war where helicopters were used in vast quantities. They moved troops and supplies in and out of combat and supported the troops from the air. And at the very heart of this operation were the men of the helicopter crews. The pilots, co-pilots, and gunners all played key roles in making sure the grunts on the ground received the support they needed to effectively fight a hidden enemy. West Windsor-Plainsboro High School South history teacher Walt Conner was one of those men.
When I was in Vietnam, I was a lieutenant, first lieutenant. I'd been through helicopter training in the States, and when I arrived in Vietnam, I was assigned to a helicopter unit, which was a heavy helicopter unit, HMH 463. I was trained in the Sea Stallion, the bigger helicopters, cargo helicopters, and then I did that for about a month, and then there was an opening in an attack helicopter squadron. A friend of mine was in it. And I was able to go from heavy helicopters to smaller, lighter attack helicopters, where I thought would be more exciting, plus there was more activity, they were doing more work. We had the mission of air support for the troops on the ground, or other helicopters, and we were a light helicopters squadron with machine guns and rockets, each helicopter, and so our job was to support the troops on the ground militarily with air combat.
Air support only works well if there are men on the ground that know how the air crews operate. The infantry must have an accurate idea of what air crews can handle and what payloads they can deliver. Conner says he got to experience why air liaisons are key factors in a growing helicopter war.
Got the mission to be an air liaison officer with 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines. I landed at a landing pad, which was about 15 miles south of my helicopter base. My replacement, the man I was replacing, was getting on the helicopter, and he said, "You have an operation tomorrow morning." So next morning, that evening, I had to look at a bunch of photographs of the mountain range, and I had to decide whether or not the helicopters could land in it. The mission was to go after an enemy unit that was up in the mountains, in the caves up there. It was interesting because I'd always been in a helicopter. Now I'm on the ground, so I got an opportunity to. Most of this was me planning it, and about a week after they were out there, I was able to actually go out in the mountains and do a little bit of liaison with one of the units and see what it was like to be an infantry soldier on the ground, which we call them grunts. The Marine Corps calls their infantry soldiers grunts, and it was quite an eye-opener seeing it from the other side. We didn't see a lot of enemy soldiers, but there was enough activity to warrant the operation, so I was thrown right into it. And after a while, I got to really appreciate what the infantry was through. All the supporting arms, helicopters, jets, artillery is there to support the infantry soldier. And that really came out. I saw that firsthand.
The men serving on the air crews were put in harm's way to drop off troops and also pull them out of hot zones. North Vietnamese forces became experts in finding ways to ambush the helicopters and take them down. The 10,000-pound helicopters were most vulnerable on infiltration and exfiltration of landing zones, a fact that Conner experienced firsthand.
I got the opportunity to lead a flight of 4 helicopters on a mission in the mountains just south of Da Nang. We call the Quai San mountain range right about here. A morning mission to pick up 4 Marine recon soldiers, Marines, grunts who had been out in the field. They're equivalent to the SEALs. Most people know what the SEALs are. They call them Marine recon, same individual, kind of individuals. They're out in the field, they're doing some reconnaissance, they want to be brought in. So my job was to lead the mission.
Ironically, Conner was originally supposed to have off on the day of the mission, but his experience was needed, so he was called upon to take charge, with his commanding officer serving as wingman in another helicopter.
My co-pilot was an fairly inexperienced new co-pilot, and there were 2 pickup helicopters, and we went out to the Quai San Mountains, and I was shot down there. My helicopter was hit and rolled down a mountain. Luckily, I didn't, it didn't explode. I'm still here, but the whole idea of the team effort, where everybody comes together, when a helicopter goes down or a man goes down, everything is to get the people out of the field. So it was really good, kind of interesting example of that. We got shot down. My wingman, my co-pilot, my CO, his job was now to suppress enemy fire to keep us from getting picked up. There were enemy soldiers in the area. He was able to do that until eventually we got picked up. And the 4 men we were going to pick up actually rescued us. They came to our rescue and they kept the enemy from picking us up and capturing us. And we were all able to be pulled out of the jungle. My co-pilot was not injured, but one of the gunners in the back was severely injured. He was sent back to the States with a ruptured spleen and a few other things, and we all got out of it. Okay, but it all came together. The whole concept of teamwork was a good example of it. But I do remember that very vividly. Yes. Sure. Oh yeah. Sure.
Colonel Walt Conner is now sharing his stories and experiences with young people in his roles as a West Windsor-Plainsboro High School South history teacher and junior varsity baseball coach. After serving a tour in Vietnam, he feels the most important lesson he learned was about teamwork. When a group of people work as one, it can be the determining factor in any event, whether you're taking fire under the jungle canopy of Vietnam or just trying to win a baseball game. This has been Tom O'Connor reporting for WWPH-TV.